What is up, everybody? It is Luke Beller with the Sideline Scoop. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Packers-Vikings Week 1 matchup. And as I was sitting here about to start this video, the past couple days I've been going through some football cards because I just found them in my garage recently. And these two cards were actually in the pile. Look, we got Aaron Rodgers. No, that's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers rookie card, Kirk Cousins. So I just thought for this video, why not show these here? These guys are going to be going head-to-head in the first game of the NFL season with the Packers-Vikings facing off against each other. And I think when you take a look at this matchup, there's a few sort of key things that are sort of important to take a look at. And one of those biggest things that I think will really be a big factor when it comes to this first Week 1 game is going to be, is Dalvin Cook going to be starting? Is he going to be playing in Week 1? Because that's going to be a big factor when it comes to just the Vikings offense in general, because they really built around him and, they have a solid rushing attack when Dalvin Cook is rushing the ball. But the only problem is for the Vikings is that Dalvin Cook is holding out right now. He's like, guys, please pay me. I'm one of the best running backs in the NFL. I'm probably going to get injured again in the future, so please just pay me now before I get injured. That's probably what he's thinking right now, because when you take a look at Dalvin Cook, even though he is one of the best, or maybe not one of the best, probably one of the top backs in the NFL right now, maybe top 5, top 10 back right now, he has had lots of injury history, and so it would make sense that he wants to get a contract signed so that he can, make his money, because he's only played like 31 of his 52 games, and so I think there's a big injury risk with him, and that could be one reason why the Vikings haven't really signed him yet. Maybe they will end up signing him, but we'll really have to see how that happens, because if they don't sign him before Week 1, and he decides to continue holding out, that would definitely be good news for the Packers, because if we don't have to defend against Dalvin Cook, that will really make the Vikings offense that much less good, I guess you could basically say. So that's going to be a big factor to look out for. So in these next couple months to sort of see, we'll have to factor in that situation and sort of watch what goes down with that to see if he actually does play. But if he does play, I think that it'll be a good matchup whether or not he plays, but I think the Packers have a much better chance without him playing, because he is one of their top threats. But when you take a look at basically just both of the teams from last season, the Packers and the Vikings, last season the Vikings were like 10-6, second in the NFC North to the Green Bay Packers, who were first in the NFC North, 13-3 last season. And last season the Packers beat the Vikings both times in both of those games last season. And so when we take a look at these teams last year, when you take a look at the Vikings offense overall, they had a pretty good offense. They were 8th in the NFL when it came to points scored with 25.4 points per game. And then they were 16th when it came to yards per game, so like about 353 yards per game. And, some of their biggest stars on offense are of course, Kirk Cousins, who just got signed to a big deal. I think it's like their 2022. They signed like a $66 million deal, so they paid the man. And then, of course, you have Adam Thielen, and they had Stephon Diggs, but of course, with Stephon Diggs now being on the Bills, that is one area where the Vikings will really have to improve in the area in the wide receiver position, which they sort of did in the draft. They picked Justin Jefferson with their first round pick, and so I really think that he's probably the guy they're hoping can sort of fill Stephon Diggs' role, but I'm really just not too sure about how well he will be able to fill that, considering Stephon Diggs is probably one of the probably top 10, top 15 wide receiver in the league. And so that's going to be a hard thing for Justin Jefferson to fill, especially right now with how training camp is looking and things going right now. It's like there's not much really going on with all that stuff. And so he's not going to really have as much time on the field, basically, before the season starts. And so I think it'll be a little bit harder for him to move into this offense right away. But I still think he will be a good player when it comes to this Vikings team. And so overall, I think the Vikings have a solid offense centered around Dalvin Cook, of course. So we'll have to watch that situation, as I stated earlier. But if he doesn't play, they have a guy named, I think it's Alexander Madison. And he did average more yards per carry last season. So it's not like they have no guys behind him. They do have that guy. But I'm guessing he's not quite as good as Dalvin Cook. And when we take a look at their defense, the Vikings defense, last season they were pretty good. They were 5th when it came to scoring defense with, 18.9 points scored against them per game. And so the only thing about the Vikings defense now is they lost 5 of their starters. And so I think that will really affect them. Of course, if you lose 5 of your starters, how could your team not be affected? And so I think that maybe they'll start off a little slower on defense because they lost a lot of their cornerbacks. Most of their cornerbacks, they still have their 2 safeties. What are the names? Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris. And so the cornerback position is one they've had to fill. I think they picked one guy early in the draft with Jeff Gladney. They picked him as well. But as I said about Justin Jefferson as well, they both probably won't have had that much time to have on-the-field drills and all those kinds of things. And so I think that the Vikings defense might struggle a little bit in the beginning, and they also lost Everson Griffin as well on the defensive line. And so I think that overall, I think that the Vikings have a solid team. I still do think the Packers are superior. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm a Packers fan, but I still think the Packers have a better team overall. And I think it's going to be an interesting game because I think I don't know if it could go either way. I mean, obviously it can go either way, but I think it'll be a close game. And, you know, with no Dalvin Cook, I think it'll be much more of a chance that the Packers win the game. But we'll just have to see exactly what happens when it comes to that game before the season happens. You know, see if Dalvin Cook gets signed, see if they're like, nah, we're not going to pay you because you're probably going to get hurt again. We're just going to waste our money. So who knows what the Vikings will actually do with Dalvin Cook's situation. And one other thing will be interesting to watch is I really just wonder about, like, when it comes to the fan situation in the NFL, with no fans in the stadium, I really wonder how much that is going to affect the home teams. Oh, shoot, my camera's falling. There we go. I think it's better now. All right. Sweet. Yeah, so I think the fans in the stadium is really going to be something to watch, like, because obviously if a team has home field advantage, one of the biggest things is, of course, the fans in the stadium. And it'll be interesting to see if home field advantage is still as much of a thing with no fans in the stadium. It'll really be interesting to see just really if that is a factor. I don't know. I'm excited to watch that and sort of see how it all goes down. But that's basically what I want to talk about. Just go over both of these teams and sort of take a look mostly at the Vikings because I am a Packers fan. So on my channel, I talk a lot about the Packers offense and defense a lot. So I wanted to take more of a look at the Vikings. And so if you want to know more about the Packers offense more in depth, I have tons of videos on that on my channel. So if you're a Packers fan, feel free to subscribe. I put out a lot of videos each week about Packers and fantasy football. So if you want to see some more Packers content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's basically it. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next one.